role of a DSG president is to work not only with the administration and faculty, but also with a wide array of student leaders on campus. Students who want to see change on campus that will positively affect our undergraduate student experience.
I think the DSG president has three roles. One is understanding various student perspectives. Two is being able to effectively lead a team of vice presidents on goal-oriented projects. And then thirdly, of course, working persuasively and articulately with administrators to actually pass policies.
The role of the DSG president is really important because they do set the tone of the organization, because they are the chief advocate for all students, and they're supposed to kind of work with all different student groups to make sure that the message that we're putting forth to the administration is the one that best represents what students want and desire.
I think that there are several reasons that best prepare me for the role of DSG president. And that involves, number one, my love for Duke. And my love for Duke has translated into the accomplishment of several positive initiatives that I think benefit the undergraduate body, and our initiatives that I accomplished as executive vice president and as a senator on equity and outreach during my sophomore year when I first joined DSG. I serve on the undergraduate sexual misconduct policy committee, initiated by President Broadhead, where I've had the chance to work with several high-level administrators like Dr. Larry Mineta, Dean Stephen Bryan, and Dean Victoria Krebs, towards clarifying our sexual misconduct policy and ensuring that Duke is a safe and secure place for all students. I've also served as chairman of the Student Health Advisory Committee, where I've worked with Duke Pharmacy and Dr. John Vaughn, the director of Student Health Center, in order to see what we can do to make sure that the Student Health and Wellness Building, built next to Penn Pavilion, is as efficient, effective, and best prepared to serve students' needs as possible in the upcoming year, 2017.
So one, I'm the only candidate that sat on the Board of Trustees, so I regularly work with the highest administrators at Duke on university strategic policy. So I have those day in and day out relationships with administrators that I think is really important to be an effective president. Second, I think I have the strongest track record of results, so I can actually follow through on all the promises that I'm kind of trying to make as president. For example, I created a brand new housing option called the Living Learning Community, or I worked on integrating a brand new requirement into the Duke curriculum called Duke 101, which is a diversity cultural competency class. I think the last thing is that I'm the only candidate that's always had an external as opposed to an internal role on DSG. So externally, always working with student groups and student leaders to pass effective policies and programming as opposed to just internally regulating DSG.
So my qualifications are, one, I've served the past year on the DSG executive board as the chief of staff, and that kind of has allowed me to see a lot of different facets of Duke's campus. It's not just an internal role, it's been very external. And while, I don't get the normal kind of automatic appointments to the board of trustees or a lot of these different committees that the vice presidents do, so I've really had to get creative and kind of think differently about how I can kind of see all aspects of Duke's campus. So I got really involved. I was the chair of the Young Trustee Nominating Committee. I sit as the sole student representative on the Curriculum Committee for the university, and I was one of 3 women appointed to the IFC Sexual Assault Prevention Task Force, which was tasked with kind of working with a committee of IFC men to come up with creative solutions on how to prevent sexual assault on campus. And I think that's really given me a good vision of what the university looks like in all different aspects.
I have 6 pillars to my campaign, but I think my top 3 points are as follows. 1, student conduct. I think that fairness and justice should be imbued in our code of student conduct, and I don't think it currently is, considering that we enforce our rules at a rate far higher than our peer institutions, including the entirety of the Ivy League and UNC. 2, student health. As chairman of the Student Health Advisory Committee, I've worked with Dr. John Vaughn, the Student Health Center, as well as the Duke Pharmacy in order to explore new ways to positively affect the Duke's undergraduate experience in the upcoming year as the new Student Health and Wellness Building opens in 2017. 3, campus energy efficiency. I think that this is a predominant and important issue that needs to be tackled on, especially as we move forward into the 21st century with the threat of climate change and global warming affecting all people.
So there are 4 big themes. You can check them out in more detail on my website. But first is promoting more equity and inclusivity across all groups on campus, large or small. Second, modernizing our academic programming, for example, with an expansion of pass-fail, and then, of course, with Duke 101. Third, bringing Duke more into the 21st century when it comes to housing, dining, services. And then lastly, of course, I think empowering communities on this campus, whether they're housing, affiliated, or, again, social groups to create a more vibrant culture on this campus.
My platform is kind of two different aspects. So one, I think that it's really important for DSG presidents to continue to think about what the students want. One of Kezra, the current president, the key things that she always talks about is, are we doing what the students want? I think she's done an incredible job making sure that, especially the vice presidents, setting the direction that what we are doing should be giving back to the students. And so mine is kind of to redefine what DSG can do for you and to build off of the momentum that Kezra's created, and to, you know, think about things like surplus and about these services that we, that the university provides to students that DSG can really influence policy on, and making sure that that's exactly what the students want. So things like that is, you know, working with SOFC to clarify their guidelines, or making sure that Senate is really representative of the students, because I don't know that it's necessarily that we best represent all students. You know, we're very Greek, we're very much merit scholars, and I want to make sure that they better represent a lot of different aspects and that there's more diversity of thought, so that's really important to me. And finally, making campus a kind of more open community. Campus can be incredibly polarizing, especially for me, because I transferred to Duke when I was a sophomore, and being independent and, you know, not having those kind of safety nets that a lot of students have, and trying to figure out ways to work with different groups so that social life on campus feels more inclusive. You know, with the new opening of the West Union, there's going to be a lot of great new opportunities for that, and kind of figuring out ways to work with various organizations so that we can all come together and kind of unite being Duke students.